Okay, and welcome to your tutorial with plotting graphs with X and Y intercepts. Today we're going to have a look at, again, similar thing, we're looking at linear relationships, but you guys were getting pretty annoyed at me the other day going, I don't want to do all these tables of values and then just plotting everything separately. So today we're going to have a look at how we make that process a little bit easier. Now that you've understood the fundamentals, we're going to look at, see, how can I plot this straight line only using two different values? Let's begin. Okay, when linear rules a graph, so when we get these linear relationships or these rules and we graph them, all the points line up in a straight line. So actually, if you think about it, it's possible to graph a straight line only using 2 points. And the 2 points we need to know is, where does that line hit the x-axis, or what is the x-intercept, and where does it hit the y-axis? So where does it hit on each axis? And if I know those 2 points, I can make an assumption about where the other points will lie. So you need to write that down. Okay, the y-intercept, like I just said, is the y value of the point at which the line meets the y-axis. Okay, so if it's going through the y-axis, I want to know at what value. Is it -1? Is it +1? Is it 3, 4? Where is it hitting the y-axis? All we need to do in order to work out the y-intercept is to say, okay, when x is 0, what is y going to be? When x is 0, what is y going to be? And yeah, we could use a table of values if I really wanted to, but today I'm going to show you how you can manipulate an equation in order to find that out as well. The x-intercept, on the other hand, is where that line hits the x-axis. And on what point? On what point on that axis and in what value? Is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it -1? Where is that line hitting the x-axis? And again, if we want to work out where that line is hitting the x-axis, we have to work out, okay, when y is 0, what is x? Because when I find out what y is, when I have y as 0, I can work out where it's hitting the x-axis. Let me show you with manipulating equations, because this tends to be the easiest way to do it. Let's look at this. It says, sketch the graph of the following showing the x and the y-intercepts. So it says 2x plus 3y equals 6. That's going to be a bit harder to do. That looks a little bit different to some things that I've done so far. Okay, what do I know? Okay, I said that to find the y-intercept, I have to say I have to substitute x for 0. So 2x plus 3y equals 6. So 2, and I'll substitute this for 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 6. So I've substituted. I said before, if I substitute x for 0, that will give me my y-intercept. Now all I need to do is work it out. 2 times 0 is, 0. 3y equals 6. Okay, if 3y equals 6, how do I find out what 1y equals? Okay, so I've substituted x as 0, so I've done my first step in order to work out the y-intercept. If 3y equals 6, all I need to do is divide 3y by 3 to work out what 1y is. So y would be equaling 2. That means when x is 0, y is 2. That gives me my y-intercept. Y is 2. Let's have a look at x. I said, okay, if I find out what y is when it's 0, that will give me the x-axis. Okay, so let's write out that equation again. 2x plus 3y equals 6. And I said, okay, now I have to make y 0. So 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. Okay. Now 2x, yep, I'll leave that, 2x plus, 3 times 0 is 0, okay, 2x equals 6. So if 2x equals 6, what does 1x equal? If 2x equals 6, how do I find out what 1x equals? Okay, that's easy. 2x divided by 2, 6 divided by 2. Everything's equations, guys. This is why I spent so long on it. 6 divided by 2, x is equaling 3. So now I know that x equals 3, and y equals 2. They're my x-intercept. My line is hitting the x-axis on 3 and the y-axis on 2. All I have to do now is draw up my Cartesian plane. And this time, instead of having to dot all those darn points, I put a point on the y-axis as 2 and a point on the x-axis at 3 and draw a straight line to them. Exactly like this. Dot here on the x-axis, on the y-axis, sorry, a dot here on the x-axis, and I can draw that line straight on through. Simple as that. How easy is that? Now you've understood the basics, guys, I can show you other ways in which you can graph them, and this is an example of one way in which I can graph that line. If we have a look at another example, I've got this one here. It says y equals 2x subtract 6. Now, the first thing I want to work out is the y-intercept, okay? The first thing I want to work out is the y-intercept. So to work that out, I have to substitute x as 0. So I have to say, okay, well, when x is 0, what is y? So first thing I do is y equals 2x subtract 6. I've got my equation there. Y equals 2 times 0 subtract 6. Okay, what's 2 times 0? Oh, 0. So y equals negative 6. Okay, because that's just cancelled it out. 2 times 0 is 0, so that's fine. Okay, easy. My y-intercept is negative 6, so that means on the y-axis, my line is intersecting with the y-axis at negative 6. So now I need to work out my x-axis, and I've said to work out my x-axis, y needs to be 0. So when y is 0, I'll write the equation out again, like I've been doing, okay? Y equals 2x subtract 6, okay? And now I've said, okay, now this time I need to make y 0, so I'll go 0 equals 2x subtract 6. Oh, okay, that's a bit weird. Now I need to work out what x is by itself. Remember, the aim of equations is to get the pronumerals by themselves. Okay, so I need to move everything away from the x like I have been doing now. What's the furthest thing away from that x? I've got 2x subtract 6. Oh, okay, it's the negative 6 over here. That's the thing furthest away from the x. So in order to get that by itself, how do I get negative 6 away from this side? Do the opposite. So I'll add 6 to this side, and I'll add 6 to that side. Remember, guys, remembering this from equations, this is the same thing I do every time. So it becomes 6 equals 2x. 6 equals 2x. So in order to work out what x is by itself, I divide that side by 2, I divide that side by 2, and x equals 6 divided by 2, 3. So I have a y-intercept of negative 6 and an x-intercept of 3. So I draw out my Cartesian plane again. I put a dot on the y-axis at negative 6. I put a dot on the x-axis at positive 3. And I get a graph that looks a little bit like this. Positive 3, negative 6. And that's it, guys. That's how you draw it. It's as simple as that.